the month of May, I will have 1, 2, 3 completed projects. So, and that is awesome, for real, for real. What's the deal, pickles? I am coming in for a quick update, and I think that this studio vlog will have footage from some of the things that I've been working on with the Sew the Scrap out of March that I am doing in May. But you all will be extremely proud because the first update is that the Pinwheel Frenzy top is done. You pretty much can see it. Let me just try to, there we go. Now, because the blocks, as you know, were not a standard size, I just went through and I pieced them like I was doing a puzzle. I still need to go through, and it's kind of bumpy because we just we didn't smooth it out fully on the wall yet. And then there's an area like right here that I need to just cut. Some of the blocks did get cut. I was not discriminating in that regard because I knew that I'm just gonna clean up the edges and go. So the top is done. Now all I'm working on is the Scrappy Border, and here's a sample of that. I'm doing it with the receipt tape. And what I did, and I'm sure, and I think I have footage of this, is I just went through all the rest of the scraps, even some of the strips that I had, and cut them down to about 3 inches so that it would be wide enough to cover the receipt tape. And then any width was fine as long as it was over an inch, like this strip. Most of them are just straight pieces of fabric, but a couple of them are from when I had to cut off some of the blocks. Let me see if I can find one. Oh, here's one. And then I have another one. Maybe it's not on this roll. So I'm working on that. And this is going to go all the way around. So I need to do 4. What I did is I cut 4 pieces of the receipt tape, enough to go around each side. And I have just enough of the black to do a block of the brown to do corners with the brown. There'll be, I guess, probably 3-inch square brown blocks that I have just enough brown fabric to put them there in the corners. So that went well. In here, I'm going to insert the footage towards the end. I may pop a picture up here if I remember, of the pillow. It went great. That was a totally scrappy, using what I showed you guys in the last clip, I believe, of making would be kind of like the crumb block style, but not. I did strips, I did pieces, I did crumbs, I did all of those still from the same body of fabric without this brown backing, but just all from the leftover. So far I have completed 2 whole projects from the scraps from this one quilt top, and I have a whole container more where those will be actual pieced blocks that I made from the cut down pieces of the fabric that I had, because I cut down everything, which I showed you guys in the last studio vlog. So I'm hoping to actually get this one done probably by this time next week maybe, because it took me about a day of taking breaks and I finished one border. So maybe if I have some time on Sunday, I'll be able to finish all 3 borders and add them onto this quilt top. Overall, love it. But if you guys are interested in how I did it, I can do more in detail. The thing about this project that I learned was, number one, it did take up quite a bit of time, but it was a really good creative time. You really was looking at it with your eye and say, okay, where do I start? Where can I make a clean line? It was not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it. And what was so interesting is to build up the pieces in order to make the blocks with the brown fabric. It got to a point where, as long as I had a consistent strip of 2 inches and 3 inches, I was able to fill in everything. At some points I had to put them together so that I could kind of do off some chunked areas, but I'm really excited about quilting this top. I think it's going to be so much fun. And I already cut the binding strips, which were from the fabric as well. It's actually, let me see how much time I have. Let me grab it. Okay, so as a reminder, I cut everything down to these, so it's all fits in here. Here are the sample blocks, which I showed you in the last studio vlog. And look at this. This is the fabric that I'm going to use to make the 3-inch squares for the corners, and there'll be just a tiny bit left of this. And then here are the strips that I will use for binding this quilt, and I'm sure I'll have a little bit left over, but there, it's a nice neutral, so I'll just put it in. I'll show you with the other crumbs that I have left. I have this a little bit, and these are all the strips that I made to be able to do the Scrappy Border. Again, like I said, the width, as long as it was over 1 inch, and the length at least 3 inches, and all of these in here fit that. I did that intentionally because I knew I was going to do the Scrappy Border. The biggest thing, so I just grab in piece. The only thing I'm doing is making sure I'm not piecing the same 2 beside each other. And I'm trying to keep an eye on the red because I don't have a lot of the red. And I want to make sure that I put a little bit of the red on all 4 sides. But other than that, I'm just doing it very random. Once I got to the end of doing the pre-cut sizes, that's when I cut them down into this size. I put them in a large bowl, which I'll insert some footage around here, mix them up really well by hand, and then I put them in here. So now when I'm sewing, I listen to an audiobook and I just grab a piece and sew. Once I finish these, any that are left over will go into crumb blocks. All of them will go into, the rest of them will go into crumb blocks. One of the things that I'll probably put in the next studio vlog is I found an amazing quilting group on Facebook where they do different swaps throughout the months, and I signed up to do a crumb block swap, a strip piece swap, and a fat quarter swap. So between now and August. So I'll share that with you guys. But the main point is the last little bit of this will get used. Another thing that I learned in making the pillow top was I used all of my leftover, I have a meeting, pieces, salvages, everything to fill the pillow. And what I did is I used muslin. The pillow ended up turning out to be 26 by 24 inches. And I took a piece of muslin. I made it basically to be a pillow. And then so it'll be all sewed in. I stuffed it with all of all of it from, because I had bags of it, so I just filled it in. Then I had a box of microfilm that I bought long time ago from Joann with a coupon. And what I did is I put that in towards the bottom and did the microfill towards the top, because that was a prayer pillow to be sat on, either on the floor or if you put it on top of, you know, a lifted surface. But that's what it was for. So it made it nice and substantial as far as the size, and the microfill on top made it still nice and soft. But the weight of that fabric at the bottom made it have some little like oomph to it. I really liked that. And in the past, I've used it for our dog bed, because she would just kind of wear through them, but I never thought to use it for a pillow. But since this particular one was he was gonna use it to sit on the floor, I thought it would be perfect, and it was. So I will be doing more of those prayer pillows. So it could be, you know, if you're praying on your knees, if you're sitting on your bottom, I'm sure meditation, you know, anything like that, the pillow could be used for. So I did the muslin, sewed it close, put it all in there, stuffed it real good, and then I end up sewing it closed with my hand, because I had too much stuffing to try to put it back in the sewing machine, which I hate, but that's what it was. And then I made the pillow as an envelope close with a old section of Minky, which had stuff everywhere, but Minky that I used on the backside, and so you'll see that as well. The thing that I learned about for the Minky was Minky is messy. I don't know why I didn't remember it. I only used Minky once. I had that last little bit left. It was a perfect amount to finish it off, and now I have no more. Thank you, Jesus. But what I did is I cut the Minky, then I had a piece of painter's tape right nearby, and I just stuck that painter's tape on the edge where I cut the Minky, and it picked up all of those little pieces that end up going everywhere. So that made it so that it was really easy. I hemmed the ends in, made the envelope backing to go with the quilted top that I made with the piecing. I just did straight lines in different directions in different sections. I kept it very simple because of all the seams that were already present by all of those pieces. I literally snapped on my walking foot, which is still on there because I'm using it to do this, and just did straight stitching. Just straight stitched in different directions until it was done. And so now it is with its owner. I did make progress on my king size top, but I don't have any pictures for that yet because I realized that I mixed the pieces up or something happened. So what I need to do is attach my cobblestone, I'm gonna call it the cobblestone strips, to the main blocks, and then I'm going to press them and lay them out on the floor so that I can rearrange them, because the current row setup got mixed up somehow. And I know what the somehow is. I was using the friction pen to write on the paper of my rows, and I was steaming the blocks, totally forgetting I used friction. So all the numbers got all mixed up. So now what I'm gonna do is do the middle strips on all of them, and then lay them out and renumber them without friction. I did do it with pencil, and then sew that top together, but really it's almost done. So it looks like for the month of May, I will have 1, 2, 3 completed projects. So, and that is what's up, for real, for real. So to close this out, I'm going to say thank you a million times over for everyone that supported me in the launch and release of Romantically Ever After, that you guys purchased it. Thank you so much, because we did hit the USA Today bestsellers list. So your girl is officially a USA Today bestselling author. Yes, spirit fingers. So I'm already on to the next project, because that's how it works. And I'll have some more coming up about that and to share with y'all in future blogs, video studio vlogs. But for now, I have to go. So the bucket is officially empty. The only thing left in here is the binding for the actual quilt. And let me show you what I have. Here are all the strips that were less than 2 inches that I cut down to 3 to 3.5 inches so that I can do the scrappy border. With these, I cut them all just until everything was gone and put them in a bowl, mix them up, and then I'm just gonna grab and sew onto the receipt tape, and I'll show you guys. Hopefully I'll remember to get a snapshot of that. And then, then here's all of the other pieces that I told you about in the other standard cuts. I'm sorry, I'm holding this with my hand because my tripod is across the room. And here's what I have. Now you can't see it, but underneath here, actually I'm sorry, on this side are the 5-inch squares. These are the 2.5, which I don't think I'm gonna use. These are the standard scrappy size, 2.5 or 2-inch by 3.5. Here are 2-inch squares, 5 by 2, and more of the 2 by 3.5. And all of these will make up, once again as a reminder, these blocks. This block, not this one, but this one. So all of this will make up these 2 blocks, and this is just going to turn into another quilt top. And this is going to be the border for my Pinwheel Frenzy, I think I'm going to call it. But yeah, that's it. So here we go. This is the Scrappy Vortex, whatever you want to call it. I did not close the safety pins because it's really not that big, but it's all sandwiched. This is just some muslin. I'm going to turn this into the top for a pillow. I'm going to make this a prayer pillow. And I have Minky, some leftover Minky from a baby quilt that I made a while back that I'm going to use for the back of it. And then I'm going to stuff it with all the extra scraps and everything, and I'll show you guys that. This should be done, it will be done sometime this week. I'm gonna go through and just kind of baste it so that I can remove these pins and just do some simple stitching on top. Probably some straight lines and maybe a little bit in the grooves. But yeah, it's gonna be very, very simple. I'm gonna just do it on my regular Juki, and I'm not gonna pull out my other one. And then I will do an envelope back with the Minky to finish that off. And I'm going to use muslin. It's not over here, sorry. I'm going to use muslin to make basically like a pillow for it, and then stuff it with all that stuffing, and then that will go inside the pillow so that it will keep all those little bits and pieces all tucked away. So that's that. I'll keep you posted. my update on Pinwheel Frenzy. I'll have a detailed video, or a little bit of video, coming soon. But I thought you'd just like to see the update. I'm coming on with an update for this Pinwheel Frenzy quilt top is what I've named it. And I don't know if I've ever named another one Frenzy, but oh well. What I end up doing is starting to piece them as long panels. I found a nice little break, like there you see that break, that I could actually build it vertically, even though they're not actually square. And if you see up there, I still have those sections to go. But I think what I'm going to do next is build from this bottom up and then build that top so that it will not actually meet at these the tri-seams, you know, these double seams here, and then build that across the top, then sew them as 3 panels into one, and then sew the top down so that it will break up the lines. But and mainly because those blocks right there will automatically go over that seam line. So I'm going to fill in that space across there. That'll make those even for the most part, because the bottom is just kind of tacked here. But I would overshoot this, sew it together, trim to make it a straight edge, and then eventually do something similar along this line. So this piece will either have to go up or down, depending on how I build this section. And again, I'm doing this as I go. There is not any rhyme or reason. Look at that, I had to cut that off. That's the only one I actually had to cut off. But yeah, so I'm gonna build. I actually have some of the background still left, so I'm doing really good on that. And what I'm finding is using a consistent strip size and then cutting it smaller has been beneficial. So I'll cut a 3-inch or a 4-inch strip from the width of the fabric and a 2-inch from the width of the fabric, and then use it to piece in and cutting it to make it a straight line. So that's where I am, and I'll go a little closer so you can see here. So see how that's built up. That was probably gonna be my favorite one. Yeah, I try my best not to align them too much, but to keep it kind of random. But because of the sizes, it's really was hard to do, so it's better to just kind of work in sets. So here, as an example, I have that piece there that I will sew and then group those, then group these kind of 5 together, then build this up, then sew them over, then build those. So yeah, that's it. I'll keep you posted. So I hope that you are doing well. Let me know in the comment section what you're working on. Please continue to follow any precautions that are in place in your city or state, and stay safe with you as well as your family. I will be back hopefully sooner than later. Take care. Goodbye.
If I can't have you, I don't want you to have anyone. And if you don't want me, there's something wrong with them, right? Maybe I got problems that I don't tell anyone. Have I lost my perception? Feel like I wanna do something wrong now. Packing all your belongings. Say you wanna take some time, but if you say we'll meet again, why'd you have to take